Hey, John, welcome to the Interrupted Podcast, brother. It's awesome to have you on this evening.
I appreciate you having me.
Heck yeah. No, this has been a long time coming. I was just sharing with you, as I was reviewing some of these pictures when I first met you up at Origin, and man, the tour you took us on and just kind of exposed us to a glimpse of some of your world. And after following you for a while and seeing all your interest in the outdoors, and more importantly to me, I mean, what is admirable is how you include your children in that, and I've just enjoyed following along with that. So this is gonna be a good conversation. Looking forward to it, man.
Likewise, likewise. I appreciate you having me on, and I will have to get you back up here. I miss seeing you up in Maine.
I know. I when being up there with the Order of Man event, that the main event, that was a cool experience. And what's crazy is I had never been to Maine, and my sister is from up in the Northeast. She's stays outside of Boston. And so going up there, it was always honestly just like, oh, I don't want to drive through this traffic. And coming from Maryland, it's like, yeah, I come through the heart of everything
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
crazy. But when I got an invite, the honestly, I guess the first trip I made up to Maine was after I had come up in late August of 2019, was through a mutual friend, got to hunt turkeys up there in Maine near Moosehead Lake. And
It's gorgeous turkey hunting up here.
oh my gosh, like it's different than down here in flatland agriculture. Mountain birds are a whole different story.
Uh,
um,
they are.
I think that can be said, and it rings true for a lot of just the experience of hunting up in Maine. And so, anyway, man, we'll get into it. But would you just, for everybody, just give a little overview of kind of your background, what you're doing now, and then we'll talk a little bit about your experience in the outdoors, and maybe get some people, hopefully not too many of them, but a couple people to try out the Maine hunting and fishing, because it's awesome.
Absolutely. So my official job title now is man of many hats at Origin. So that means I was employee number one for
Wow.
Origin up here in Maine, and we manufacture apparel from Brazilian Jiu Jitsu gis, rash guards, denim jeans, boots, and then we also have our Jocko Fuel line. So our nutritional supplements like Mulk, the joint warfare, all that type of stuff.
Man, yeah, you have so many different products, and you guys do an incredible job with the social media side of things, in terms of not just being on social media to be on social media, but actually giving the behind the scenes. And I think that's a really unique thing for a company such as yourself, to allow people to follow the story of Origin,
That's what a
which
lot of people
I
love, those Origin HDs on
yeah.
YouTube, where you can just jump on and see any given week what's kind of going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great way to tackle and expose people to, the everyday grind of just providing goods to the community. And you guys do it at such a high level, and it's pretty cool to see where it's going. So now, what is your day to day? You say you wear many hats when you get
It,
in.
it,
What kind
it's
of?
it's true. I mean, so you get up, you get in early, and my day could consist of anything from fixing a broken loom that we can't find parts for anymore, to updating patterns for new products, or also going down the line and saying, okay, what's the next thing? What are we working on next?
Mhm.
And how are we going to implement that? Is it, and what hiccups can you see coming down the line?
Yeah. Well, and so what did you do to prepare yourself for a job like this?
So my background is actually graphic design. That's what I went to school for, and was
Okay.
in the field. And Pete Roberts, the owner, we actually met through graphic design. We worked in a building that had two different design firms, one
Oh
upstairs
my
and one
goodness. Okay.
downstairs, and we'd meet up and talk about projects we were working on. And then
No way.
eventually he told me, he said, I'm starting my own business. Do you want to come in as a graphic designer? So we did that for almost 10 years before Origin.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Man.
So
Now
we,
he
at one point, we had an issue with a bunch of employees, and everyone got done except for me. So Jocko refers to me as the lone survivor.
I don't know if that's good or now you get all the attention for it. So that that's funny. Well, the I think something else that stands out and I think is worthy of bringing up is the culture that you all try and instill amongst your team. And that's something that rings through. And like I was saying, in following the story, is the buy-in that you all have from your employees in every different area that it appears. Now, granted, I'm telling everyone listening this from a distance of social media and the exposure I had to your factory up there, but it seems as though when people come to work, they're all in for the mission.
100%. And what you see on social media is really the feeling in the factory, that it's, people that want to be here.
Hmm.
That's something we pitch from day one, is really the culture, and um, and push it to grow in every person here, so that when they come in, people from the outside looking in, like you said, we're saying that they want to be a part of this movement.
Hmm.
And they come in just ready to take on the day. We have a giant banner. The first thing you see when you walk in is a giant banner that says, "We get to do this."
Hmm.
you know
What a perspective,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that is cool, and as I'm sure there's a lot of growth stories just amongst the staff and the team up there of watching people evolve through whether it's leadership roles or just if you're toeing the line, doing what needs to be done every day. That's cool. It's really kind of the heartbeat of what it seems like you guys are doing up there. So that's cool. I can only imagine being in your shoes and really getting to watch that and be around the people that you get to be around. I
Oh,
mean, it
100%.
the from your media team to what Pete puts out, it's a cool culture that you guys are constantly working on. But that's awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about that. But man, I got to tell you, when something I that stood out to me and following you and kind of your more personal posts about your family and your adventures, it really inspired me just thinking about the interrupted outdoors and what the outdoors has done for me as a man, as a father, now, and there's a lot of exciting times. But how did you get exposed to the outdoors? What really
So I
path did you
grew I
follow?
grew up in Maine, but more coastal Maine. I live more
Okay.
inland now, which is the mountains. But on the coast, I grew up. Um, Luckily, I live fairly close to my grandparents, who were avid fishermen. So
Hmm.
I grew up as a little kid fishing nonstop all the time, and didn't discover hunting till I was probably in my mid 20s, and so
Hmm.
I was a
Okay.
little bit later, and got started hooked on duck hunting and all that type of stuff. And now my kids have grown up with that as part of their culture, and we do it as a family. And my wife never really did much fishing or hunting, but
Okay.
loves the atmosphere behind it. Now she has become addicted to ice fishing. So
Well, no, that I've never done it. It's definitely seems pretty interesting, and it probably like a lot of the outdoors. There's different levels of it, and the amount of gear. I'm a gearhead, so
100%.
there's some cool stuff out there to do it. Well, that's awesome. Well, what season do you look forward to the most? What is really get you amped up?
Unless you have something to do in the winter in Maine, it really tends to drag. So I really enjoy ice fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to take out, we have our floor manager here at Origin moved here from South Carolina. So I took
Okay.
him out ice fishing when it was 22 below out. Never
Whew.
walked on the ice before, and we got on some lake trout, and he was hooked now. But if you
Yeah.
don't have something to do in the winter, it makes it long in Maine.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, what's your temperatures up there right now here in the end of
It's
March?
it's snowing out right now.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
because
That,
why
that's
not? Yeah, I mean, it says it's about 32 out right now. So it keeps going
okay.
between sleet and snow.
All right. Yeah, I think we're sitting at about 60 right now. So
Oh.
so walked outside. Yeah, no, it's your seasons definitely are a little bit different. I'll tell you what caught me off guard in the spring was going turkey hunting and how long the days were.
Oh
And
yeah.
here I have to get up at if I want to make it out to woods 5 o'clock. Get down to the farm, get out there. Man, we were waking up at like 2:30 in the morning because the sun
Sunrise is
was
like
gonna be.
4:30. So you got to be out there before 4 if you want to beat the
that,
birds.
that was one of those things I had just no concept. That I think that goes into what everybody talks about. All these Maine hardy people up there, man. That's a grind. Sun up to sundown is a long time.
Yeah, and then the
So
sunset is until almost 9. So
yeah,
yeah,
you get some long days, lots of productivity, right?
yeah, exactly.
No, that's really cool. Well, how did you first expose your boys to getting out with you? Was that something you kind of just left up to them? I'm curious as to
Exactly. I
how it.
just for them it was more so my oldest son, they're I have two boys, one 10, one 11. And
Mhm.
the oldest more wanted to be with me all the time. So he wanted to try fishing, he wanted to try all that stuff. And my younger son was like, I'm not really into it. So I wasn't, not going to push it. Now, within the past couple of years, he's realized, after he catches a couple big fish here and there, he's like, oh, we're going fishing. So the same, hit some, what would I call it? Like sunfish fishing, some pan fishing, something you have a high chance of catching something. We
Yeah.
weren't going out looking for, in Maine, we can catch a lot of landlocked salmon, brook trout, rainbow trout, brown trout, but they're, few and far in between. So go out, start with the high reward spots where you're just fishing off the dock for bluegill.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wise. I can only imagine too the just the conversation and the camaraderie and the bonding that
Mm.
is built. I think about that with my own father and the time that we got to share out there, and those some of my most vivid memories from being very young. Trying to think through memories, it's hard sometimes to recall things, but every time outside, the camping trips, the fishing trips,
Those are the ones I remember as well.
it's amazing how they just rise to the surface
Hmm.
um, in us. So no, that's awesome. What is their favorite thing? Is it fishing?
Duck hunting, believe it or not, probably.
Okay.
I would say, and the thing is with duck hunting is that we go as long as they dictate. If they say it's done, then you go, okay, you keep them happy, you keep them fed, you keep them warm. And
Yep.
if they say, I don't think they're coming in, you go, okay, that's fine, So we might go out for 45 minutes to an hour. We might go out for 4 hours. It
Yeah.
just go till they say, I think this isn't going to be fun anymore.
Yeah. High adventure, low pressure.
Exactly.
It's yeah. No, that's neat to watch how the kids respond to it. Well, is there something specifically that you can land on that how being outside and that time away from your job when you're grinding the long hours that you guys do put in, uh, I love to hear from people about what it actually does mentally, whether it's spiritually, anything that really kind of pours in just for people to understand the heartbeat of an outdoorsman and really what drives us.
100% is what the focus that you have, no matter, like, with, I love going out with my boys, and we can connect without uh video games, without,
Mm.
some sort of form of device, without electronics, without distractions. So when you're sitting there in the duck blind and just talking and joking and giggling about all the things, there's no other distractions. And a lot of times it's the trip to get there, the grabbing all this stuff, and not making a big deal over things that aren't, the hill you want to die on. That, oh, something happened. Oh,
Right.
well, it's just, you're setting an example for the next generation, saying, what type of human do you want to be? They see
Mhm.
me out there working hard, setting up the decoys, doing all that. But if I miss shooting at a duck, well, I guess I need to put in more practice.
There you go. Yeah, it's acknowledging our failures as outdoorsmen sometimes is hard because it hurts so bad. Like
100%.
whether it's
I
you miss a
completely
deer
agree.
or miss a duck, and yeah, it's amazing how it's magnified and in those moments. But then you have the other side of the reward. Can you think of a specific hunting trip or anything, even from your childhood or later with your boys, that really stands out to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can remember a lot of the fishing trips when I was a kid, but
Hmm.
the one I remember the most is my oldest son's first duck.
Hmm.
He got so excited when he shot his first duck with his 20 gauge. And
Wow.
he could tell the entire, I bet he could still do it to this day, years later, tell you the exact story of which angle the duck came in from, and the wings, and what, how he was holding his shotgun, and so I know that memory is going to be with him long for generations to come, telling his, great grandkids.
Yeah. Man, and it's always interesting to see what the lesson that they pull out of that is later in life, and
Hmm.
why it is so meaningful. And those are kind of the intangibles that we just don't know about yet.
Right.
And we just have to wait to see what that brings about. Um, what was your first a kill? What was your first time out? Was it deer hunting or was it duck hunting?
It was probably duck hunting. I I
Okay.
enjoy I enjoy, well, like, rough grouse hunting, duck
Y-
hunting. A
Yeah.
good day you can go through, a lot of shells. In Maine, we have sea duck hunting. Well, you're down in Maryland. There's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing sea duck hunting down there as well.
Absolutely.
But that's what I remember. A lot of duck hunting, go through a lot of shells. Deer hunting, if you're lucky, you get off. In Maine, we're allowed one round. Here we enter a moose lottery, which I've been
Yep.
putting in for every year, but I haven't got it yet. I just have a feeling that one of my boys is going to get drawn for a moose before I do.
Oh,
So I wouldn't. I
this is
wouldn't.
my
My feelings wouldn't be hurt if they got a moose
this is
before I did.
this is my second year putting in for it, so I figured by
Uh,
the time hopefully I get draw the was it less than 1% for out of
yeah,
staters.
yeah, exactly. You'll still probably
Pull,
get drawn before me.
pull. So no, I always tell the guys up there at the hunting camp where that we know up near Moosehead that I said I'm just gonna keep putting in every year, and
Mhm.
we'll bear hunt in the meantime, and if it comes about, it's gonna be an incredible experience um,
Absolutely.
to tag along. Have you ever been out on a moose hunt?
I've never been out on a moose hunt, but you hunt a lot of the same territory when you're out rough grouse hunting. So you
Mm-hmm.
go out, hit a lot of the logging roads. And so you'll be out rough grouse hunting, and all of a sudden a moose just goes right by in front of you. And you just go, okay, I'm gonna stand still while that goes by. So
They are large,
they
and
are
there's no
they're
other
big.
way to. I will never forget when we went out one evening scouting turkey. Um, just we were up in the mountains, and we pulled down this one logging road, and there was just a mom and a calf standing there, and holy cow! I
And
mean,
that's
it was
not something you
just
want to get between, because either a bull moose in the rut or a cow with a calf are the two most dangerous.
yeah. Well, they're just, I mean, they're just powerful animals, and it was really cool. It was honestly just breathtaking to be able to see an animal in its natural habitat like that. And I tell you, I haven't taken any sighting for granted in the what, about 4 times I've been up to Maine so far. I've got the opportunity to see them and be exposed to them. So that's an awesome, will be an awesome trip with the day that comes around.
There's been a couple times I was out deer hunting and you just hear a noise in the corner, and it just sounds like a giant buck come crashing in, and you're getting all ready, and all of a sudden you just see a moose come right by, and you're all right.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that honestly took me back when I went up. That was 2 years ago. Went up in right after Thanksgiving, I guess it was, for the late muzzleloader
Yep.
season, and I was going to be exposed to this tracking of deer. Well, it happened to be like almost 60 degrees the three
Yeah.
days I was there, so there was no snow
It's
on the
hit or miss,
ground.
because there's been times on, I remember multiple years I had to put my kids in snowsuits to go out trick or treating because it was already shin deep snow on Halloween. So it's hit
My,
or miss some years.
my goodness, what would you share a little bit? Have this whole idea of deer tracking to us Southerners, it's a whole different world when you're sitting in an ambush style tree stand hunt or even a spot and stalk on a bunch of ag land. That was a pretty cool thing to hear about. Now I didn't get to actually do it because of the lack of snow, but I know people that specifically come to Maine just for this
That's,
experience of
I would
tracking a
say that's how
whitetail.
most of Maine hunts is
Really? Okay.
is tracking, or just will walk. So very a lot of people will use tree stands and stuff like that, but most people will go out. And the cool thing about Maine is that um, most land is open to the public to use, even if
Yeah.
it's privately owned. Unless it's posted, you're allowed to hunt it. So
That
I
that's
can
that's
I
like
can
just a
I can go pick a
foreign
spot.
concept.
Yeah, I can go pick a spot and just go, okay, I'm going to hike in here, and I found tracks that are fresh. And usually you find a good day when you got 3 or 4 inches of snow the night before. So you can see
Hmm.
the fresh tracks, and you just start stalking those tracks, and you'll start working your way in. And a lot of times they'll circle back, and that's when
Okay.
you'll find them.
Wild. And I mean the amount of territory that you can cover, that the logging roads, I mean, we would drive for miles upon miles and then get out and just hike and
Mhm.
cover ground, and it's like you're not around anything else. You're not hearing the noise of cars or anything. I mean, I often tell the story when I went up for this deer trip, and because there was no snow, we set up a couple tree stands to try and ambush. And I will never forget the moment that the guide's brother had taken me out, and we went all the way down a slogging road. It was just me and him in the truck. I opened the door at whatever it was, 4:30 in the morning, to get out of the truck, and just had a pin on my Onyx map and was just walking into the wilderness. And it's one of those, I'm very small in
Yeah.
this world, and I think that's something I love about hunting in Maine.
Well, the part I love is where my boys and I go out bird hunting. It's up in the mountains, so you'll be going along, and like you said, you don't see any power lines, you don't see anything. You just look at the rolling hills, and we're so far north where we go hunting that we go, okay, I think it's over the next mountain. That's Canada.
Hmm.
So we just straddle right along the Canadian border, and you can just see forever, and you don't see buildings, you don't see anything when you're looking over. And like you
Yeah.
said, it makes you realize how small you really feel while you're out there.
Yeah, it's big territory for sure. What are some are there any specific lessons that you can even land on from taking children in the woods, something that you've had to learn or catch yourself on? I know you talked a little bit about how just having to make sure they have that success, but
Mhm.
can just reflecting a little bit, because that's for fathers that are just coming up and maybe their kids aren't quite at a hunting age like myself, or maybe there's fathers that, are avid outdoorsmen and have children but don't necessarily um, know how to expose them. That is there something that you've really learned by when it's not just you going out there, but it's you taking your boys?
100% is that I've realized I also teach kids Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes. So that,
Okay.
and I've found that that also translates over into hunting and fishing.
Really? Okay.
Keep it fun. Is that you might have something set in your head where you're like, okay, we're gonna go out, we're gonna hunt, we're gonna fish, we're gonna do this. It's like, okay, that's secondary. They're gonna remember everything else you guys did together. Is that, the laughing, the joking. My kids want to go out now, and the hunting and the fishing and the Brazilian jiu-jitsu came with that
Hmm.
eventually. But when we started Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I wasn't saying, okay, this is the perfect way you need to do an arm bar. It was, okay, we're going to play games, we're going to do this. And they wanted to keep coming back because it was fun. Fishing, I'll take them out and we'd go out on the dock and cast off. They'd have fun. But when it was done, if we went out in the boat, we'd say, okay, let's end it now, so that they don't leave with sour memories of
Hmm.
going, okay, I'm over it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely wisdom for being outside. I know walking even with my girls out in the woods, it's that, you want to go at a certain pace and you want to cover ground and you have
Mhm.
this agenda for the time that you've allotted to be out there. And kids just have a way of
It,
taking
it's
that and,
if I was going to go out and deer hunt by myself, like you said, I'd be okay. I've got point A, I've got point B, I've got point C. I want to hunt here. With them, I realize it's more like a walk in the woods, and I've got my rifle with me, and and we're going,
if
okay,
something
we're
should happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're crunching every stick, and I'm like, okay, we got to remember, you know, this is how you move quietly. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, then these are the things you will watch for, and you make it interesting. So they're going, okay, it's
Hmm.
what are you looking for? Okay, this is what we're looking for, and keep them engaged.
Yeah, the woodsmanship really comes into those moments, and how you learn to navigate isn't necessarily, well, in many cases at all, what you learned in the book. It's
Yeah.
always when it's boots on the ground and you're out there actually grinding and doing it. Um, would you talk a little bit more? You brought it up about the jujitsu, and so how did you get into it? Because it is uh, constantly in my world, law enforcement. It's rising to the surface as a priority to get officers doing it. But how did you get exposed to it?
So the owner of Origin, Pete Roberts, and I, when we worked as graphic designers, we were both watching the UFC, and we said, "Oh, that thing that BJ Penn's doing is really cool. We need to learn that." So there was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school in town. So we were doing graphic design during the day and then training Brazilian jiu-jitsu at night.
Oh my
And
goodness. Okay.
yeah, so we started. My path has been a long path that's meandered a lot of ways. I'm a brown belt, which is the step right before black belt.
Uh
And so
huh.
I've trained a long time off and on, but finally committed back, say about 10 years ago. But so
Okay.
that it kind of our passions swapped from, we were doing graphic design and then training Brazilian jiu-jitsu at night, to how can we make Brazilian jiu-jitsu gear with our graphic design skills. So
Yeah, and merging that. Well, what were you seeing were some of the problem that you were trying to fix?
so when we first started, we were doing everything like everyone else was. We were importing. And so we'd send our designs overseas with our graphic design skills and say, okay, we'll lay everything out, and they send it back to us. Well, Pete was competing over in Abu Dhabi and saw someone wearing some of our gear. and went to thank them for wearing it. When they turned around, it had another company's logo on it.
Huh.
So we contacted our manufacturer and said, you're selling our designs with other people's logos. And he said, it's just business. And that's when we realized we had to bring our manufacturing in-house, or everything we did, all our creative designs were going to be stolen. So we started right then. We went out and bought 2 sewing machines. We had no clue what we were doing. So
Well, it seems like you're figuring it out pretty well to me. Looking at it, that's wild. I mean, and that is something that it seems with your products, and I guess with your guys' background, it makes a lot of sense how you guys are, pushing the envelope on the design and the fit and the wearability, which the creativity part, it's really interesting to see how it comes to life.
absolutely. And this also goes to back to, not to go back too far, but just with working with kids. I always preach to my boys,
Yeah.
be a critical thinker. And that's what's helped Origin get as far as it has, is being able to, whether your background is being in graphic design or anything else, be open to say, I need to know how to solve problems.
Yeah.
Hunting, fishing, how do I solve this problem that I'm working on? Looms, how do I solve this problem? And just figuring out how do you solve problems?
Yeah. Well, in that vein, uh, what have you learned along the way in terms of remaining positive and trying to push the envelope and push forward in the midst of, I can only imagine from what you've seen, the company starting what it was, and it didn't just, going to go out on a limb and say it wasn't built on wins every time.
No.
There were probably some failures. So, and that goes right kind of with the heartbeat of interrupted, is how do we deal with these challenges, and how do we critically think and ask better questions to target what we need to do and maintain that positivity, be resilient people.
So we call those tuition payments. That we know there's going to be tuition payments. You don't want to have too many tuition payments, but as you're going to hear a lot of people say, no, that can't be done. And you say, well, critical think through it. Why can't it be done? Is there something that's holding it up from saying, is it just because people aren't doing it? People, and as we were learning about manufacturing in the US, people were saying it can't be done. Well, why not? Well, you can't get the fabric. Well, why can't we make the fabric here? Well, just because they're not doing it. Okay, so that's the holdup. Let's go get the looms and start weaving fabric.
Yeah, absolutely. Those looms are pretty daunting and overwhelming. When I was down in there, I have a video of it. I remember coming home and showing my family members, like, this is just really cool to have experience. Like, you're stepping back in time almost, but you're in modern times, and this is how products are still being created. It's interesting how the past merges with the future so much, and with that technology. Now, I'm sure there's probably other technology out there nowadays with some of it, but are you guys still using some of those original looms?
Yeah, we're still using. We've got looms that are 40 plus years old downstairs, and we have brand new looms also getting ready to go in, but we've still need to learn the technology of the old looms so that we can push the technology forward.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it that you all do for your employees in terms of um, inspiring and mentoring them into leadership roles and having that buy-in that you guys have so well? Like, what is it, certain qualities or characteristics, or is it just, hey, these are the main principles and tenets that you have to see early on in the hiring process? Because I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs and guys in businesses that are following the show and listening to these stories of, becoming resilient, being better leaders. What is it that really sets you guys apart when in creating the culture you have?
Honestly, as I 100% believe it's Pete at the top, is that he's setting the example and being humble and to
Mm,
show the every leader on the way down, so that he's leading by example to show what a good leader is, so that the next level of leaders under him, that are the team leads, everyone else can say, okay, this is the way a good leader needs to lead. And that's
mm,
also part of the culture, is that he makes you feel like if you come up with an idea and say, hey, I'm going to pitch it, he could easily go, no, we don't have time for that, blow it off. It's like, okay, that's cool. What, flesh it out, run with it, do what you want, be creative, and makes you feel like an integral part of the team.
hmm.
And then
Yeah.
in turn, you do that when you have now your subordinate comes to you and says, I think we should do this. You go, okay, flesh it out for me. What do you think? You know, and so that they feel like they're not just getting brushed off and going, no, 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 this is how we do things. It's like, no, we want to see new ideas. Keep them coming. you know and then if they say something like, oh, what, I want to do this, and you go, well, I think it's a good idea, but I think I could see some problems with it. What do you think? And then
Hmm.
let them work it through.
Yeah, well, definitely massaging the problem
Yeah.
right along with them. Yeah, absolutely. How do you keep yourself driving forward? Like, how do you set goals for yourself and the ambitions? I'm sure you are constantly having to help your employees and your team members through whatever task, whatever maybe problem they encounter. But when you're in that leadership role that you are,
Mhm.
what are you doing, and how do you look to make yourself better?
Every day brings new challenges, and every challenge has to be faced differently. And there are times that I will say, as a leader, I've failed, that I've had to
Hmm.
go to employees and say, I apologize. I did not handle that the way I meant to handle that. And a lot of times that means a lot to someone, to hear you say, um, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And, but then when I come back and say, okay, this is how I want to handle something after that, they'll go, okay, maybe I was wrong. And they will come to you and say, I was wrong. I think you're right. Let's go forward, to check the ego.
Yeah, which goodness, it seems like every day it's eh, trying to keep tabs on that in your own world, and where am I making a mistake? Where am I encouraging someone in the right way, right?
Mm,
Whether it's with coworkers or with children, it's the tests that we are put through on a daily basis, and that's why it's so interesting for me to talk to guys like you, that you guys are really at the pinnacle of an industry, and you're trying to do more. And I think being a student definitely really rises to the surface.
absolutely. And in our industry also, there are a lot of things, since we're the only manufacturer of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gis in North America, that we don't know that we don't know.
Hmm.
So to check your ego even more, when someone comes to you and goes, well, what if you try this? And you go, oh yeah, that might be the thing. You know,
Yeah. Well, with the kids and jujitsu, I know there's a lot of parents out there that want their kids to be involved in martial arts. Would you just pitch a little bit, maybe an encouragement even? What is it about getting kids involved with jujitsu early on, that what do you see in terms of growth, and what does it contribute to them other than just learning a skill set in a combative sport?
I can absolutely sell this not only as a dad but as the instructor. for the kids classes is that I would see a lot of kids come with focus problems, with um, self-image problems, with self-confidence problems, and the I would get thank you letters from teachers saying,
Hmm.
I don't know what you're doing, but this child has so much more confidence in themselves. They have so much more focus. And all I saw is that I was teaching jujitsu and having fun with kids. You know, and at the same time, there was a lot of um, parents of smaller kids that said my child was getting bullied. Now,
Hmm.
they have the confidence to stand up to bullies. Not start in or instigate anything, but the bullies are seeing there's a confidence now in this kid because they have worked training against other people. They know what force on force feels like. And
Yeah.
they have built up that confidence saying, I was able to tap someone else out, or someone else was pushing against me. So I know what that force feels like. So I'm going to run. I don't want to meet that force. So they know when to make the right choice.
Huh. Yeah. No, confidence is interesting with children and with adults really, and how we gain that. And it's sometimes it feels as if you can just put it in a box quick. Hey, do this, do jujitsu to gain confidence, but it's um, trying to reflect upon your experiences doing these things that gives it. And I think you said it well there with when someone can actually feel the pressure of another human being on them, and to learn not to panic in that moment and not to let their emotion take over, but there really are things you can do to
Mm-hmm.
manage and work through
And
those
I
problems.
see a lot of this, especially in law enforcement, where
Mm-hmm.
that their first jujitsu class almost scares them because they realize if someone else knows this,
Mm-hmm.
it's humbling that it's almost they're coming at them with almost a weapon, saying, okay,
Yeah.
this person can control me now. And some people it scares them, saying, I need to protect this person. And luckily, a lot, like you said, a lot of law enforcement is starting to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. Well, I often say when I train guys that it's knowledge diminishes fear.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can put yourself and understand how if I'm more capable, whether it's engaging and, having to roll with somebody or even if it's in a life and death situation, those are all situations that having the exposure before you actually might need to survive is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, what's next for you guys? What's like on the horizon? What's the vision of you as Origin and just you personally, if you'd share a little bit? I'm always curious of what has your attention, right? Where?
So you'll love this one. Is that my attention right now is we're working on a lot of hunting line
Mm,
gear. So we are
I
working on a US made hunting line for
wow.
carrying through now to all the outdoor lifestyle.
That's awesome. So it'll be beyond just say a camo product. It will be actual outdoor wear. Um,
Outdoor wear. You'll see, um, we're working with other companies to help with like bino holsters and all kinds
really,
of other, all kinds of other Origin gear.
man, I am stoked. I remember the live you guys did a while back when you said you were launching this thing, and you got some heavy hitters involved with this, which
Yes,
is with what Cam Haynes and Kip Foltz
campaigns. Yep, yep. From
and
down your neck of the woods. Down he was one of
yeah,
the ones that started Under
he's
Armour.
actually
Yeah.
he's building another brewery that's only probably about 50 minutes from me.
Yes.
So I'm anxious to check it out because he really brings he brings a lot to the table in terms of my interests,
Yes.
and just the way he integrates his businesses. And he seems like a great guy that you guys are working with. And
He's an amazing guy. And I love when he looks and he says, Origin reminds me of a grassroots Under Armour. You know, when back when they were starting Under Armour, he's like, it would not shock me to see the same trajectory.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's. And I think that's what's so cool about the storytelling that you guys are doing well, because the journey to where you ultimately will arrive at is going to be awesome. That even me as a consumer of what you guys are putting out there, it is. You almost take pride in the stuff that you have, and just because there's more behind the fabric that is on here. You know that there's people like yourselves and Pete and the rest of your team up there that are working hard and have I would say it's a vision to develop people, not just create a product. And
Absolutely.
to see that in a business is pretty astounding to me, and it's motivating. And that's the message that I want so many to hear, that you need to find a place like that.
There are not many brands that you can find that where you can go online and see the vision you're supporting, the people you're supporting. That, you know,
Hmm.
you're wearing an Origin hoodie, but by doing that, you can go on and look and say, this guy that's working on this product, I'm helping them. I'm part of this movement just by supporting them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to get buy-in outside of the company, for
Absolutely.
sure, to see what you guys are doing. Well, man, that's awesome. I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I appreciate you sharing some of just glimpses into your understanding of the outdoors and your role in developing leaders and being part of what Origin's doing. I wanted as many people as possible to be exposed to it. I think it was honestly a podcast that I heard Pete on, and I was like, "Man, who's this guy? What is he doing up there?" And then when that kind of morphed into following what Ryan's doing, and actually getting to be up there with you guys, it really all came together. So this is really a privilege for me to be able to sit down with you this evening, hear a little bit of kind of your heartbeat of what makes you go and how you guys work through things. So yeah, and any final thoughts? I'd love to, if you would just kind of share and direct people to how they can link up with Origin and know what's going on, whether it's website, social media stuff.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on the show, and you can check us out we have all the regular social media accounts, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Go to originmaine.com you can see all the gear that we're making there, all the new stuff that's coming out. And then also you can check us out on YouTube. We have, like I said, we have all the Origin HDs, videos of all the stuff we're working on, so you can see the behind the scenes of what's really going on in American manufacturing.
Yeah, right on, man. It is awesome to follow. So, hey, brother, I do hope to get up there and maybe get on a pond with you somewhere, or
Yes.
just come up and see the
Yes, and
factory.
my shack door is always open, or my boat. So
I love it. No, it's Maine is definitely a desirable place for me to go after I first set foot in that state a while back. So it's really cool. Look forward to getting up there. So we'll definitely hit you up. And likewise, man, if you ever come down here to Maryland, if you got a trip to see Kip or something
oh
like that,
yes, yes.
man, you're
I've been
always.
I've been eyeing some snakehead fishing. We don't have that up in
Oh,
Maine, so
it's unbelievable. And man, however you want to look at it, unfortunately, we have a big
unfortunately, it's
problem with them.
unbelievable. It's like our pike fishing in
It's
Maine. Unfortunately, it's
yeah,
good.
So yeah, and they're good eating too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyway, man. Hey, thank you again, and we'll make sure everybody gets linked up through the show notes and everything with Origin, and look forward to what's to come for you guys, man. I'm definitely in your corner, rooting for you guys with everything I can do. So, thanks again, brother.
Appreciate it again.